Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation, and I've got the wonderful Alex Winter back to the show from Al Exploitation. How's it going, my man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me back. Appreciate this.
Absolutely. We are going to talk more Prince, and we're going to talk about the 1989 smash Batman, which coincidentally was a soundtrack that came out with the Tim Burton movie. So this was a cross-marketing phenomena. The album sold 2 mil in US, double platinum, went to number one in the UK, number one. Bat Dance, number one all around the world. It was kind of a bit of a, if you look at the Prince discography, Alex, it was a bit of an uptick from Love Sexy, which did moderate business, but definitely this was a bit of a shot in the arm for Prince. So, as usual, we're going to talk about the songs, the performances, all things Prince. My first question to you, what was your first impression? And we're not talking about your impression now, but what was your first impression in the day of that album?
I loved it, and I grew up on comic books, right? So I'm a comic book guy and I'm a Prince guy. And as we talked on our first Prince episode we did around the world in a day, that was the first Prince album I bought in real time. And from then on, then I bought everything as it came out. And by the time this comes out, I'm buying it the day it comes out because I'm that big of a fan. So the Bat Dance single had preceded the release of the album. Love that. The video is amazing. So I was all in on this. And when it came out, I bought it and I loved it. And my opinion has not changed. I think it is a fantastic album in his discography.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was definitely a smash. All right, so what we'll do is we'll talk about the album. So this is back to Prince. He just does multi-instruments. He basically has produced it, composed it, plays all the instruments on the tracks, and it kind of it's an unusual concept because the songs take on the character of Prince singing it through the eyes of the characters in the film. So there are some songs that he's singing it as Bruce Wayne or Batman. There are some songs that he's singing it as the Joker, and there are some that are kind of directed to Vicky Vale, the Kim Basinger character in the movie. So that's an interesting concept. And I heard another thing. I read an interview with Prince, and originally this was going to be a song of duets, or it was going to be a co-album between him and Michael Jackson, where I would imagine Prince would take on the persona of the Joker and do songs along the bad guy or the villain side, and Michael Jackson do the Batman and the hero side. That would have been, but I think Michael Jackson was well into Bad, the World Tour, and that never went to fruition. What do you think if that ever happened?
There were multiple attempts to get the two of those together. And in theory, it sounds great, but they once did that with Prince and Madonna, right? And two of the biggest stars, and you think they're going to make magic, and it was a subpar song. So I don't know if that ever would have worked, especially with the egos. And as much as I like Michael Jackson, I'm a Prince guy, so I'm happy it didn't happen, and I'm very happy that Prince was able to take on this project on his own.
Yeah, I think it would have been oil and water. Sometimes on paper it looks good, but in reality it doesn't quite work out. So, all right. Well, how about we talk about the songs? That's a way of navigating our way through, and what we think of the album. So, the album starts off with "The Future." What do you think of this song?
So I like this, and I think it's a good start to the album. So this is now done Prince as Batman, right? And you hear Batman at the very start with a little sample. And I think that's one thing that's very important is throughout this whole soundtrack, you're hearing clips from the movie and worked in much more in a more impactful way than has been done in other instances like this. I think they really enhance the songs and very much so on this. So this was the fifth and final single from the album, but that was only in Europe. There's some elements in this I really like. There's samples from Claire Fisher from Crystal Ball, which was a song in a project that got scrapped from Prince. So that's in there. And there's also samples from Sounds of Blackness, which was a Minneapolis gospel group. That all works in with the film clips. Got a nice slinky groove to it. It's almost got a house music feel to it. I love Prince's vocal delivery and tone on the song. And there's some great guitar effects. He uses a Boss guitar pedal on this. So I think to start the album off, this is a perfect way to do it, and you sort of get a feel of what is to come with the rest of the album.
Think it's good, but not great. I think it's a little bit low key. It's funky. But you've got this drum machine. You've got these bubbling synth lines. I like how there's some melodic flourishes towards the end of the song where you bring in a little bit of orchestral a sound to it, and that really tightly coiled guitar funk licks where it goes up and down the fretboard. I like that, but it's very low key. It's not what I expect for a Prince album where you expect something between the eyes and it's really punchy. But I guess I was thinking about this, I should like this song a lot more. I think he's going, the song listing of this album is following the theme of the movie. You can't go out with something that's just balls out a rocker or something that's just outrageously up tempo. It's got to follow up the start of the movie, which is like there's an overture, there's an introduction of the characters. I think it's deliberate that it's kind of a little bit low key, but as a song, it's probably, I would say, good but not great. But um,
You bring up a good point though, because let's look at what was going to happen with this project, right? Originally, Tim Burton goes to Prince and wants to use "Baby I'm a Star" in 1999, and Prince says no. And so Tim says, "Well, how about two new songs?" He's indifferent on this. He visits the set, and right away now he's won over. He bonds with Tim Burton. He likes the tone of the film. So what you're saying is perfect in that the soundtrack is like its own movie, right? So there are nine different scenes, and yes, this is an opening. It's not an out of the gate big reveal. It's sort of a slow build to let's set up what is to come.
he was sold when he saw the rough cut of the movie, and he wanted to bump the and cancel the 1988 Love Sexy tour, which would have been not very good for the
Yeah.
accountants. Yeah, he was absolutely right in, boots and all, with this project. Second song, Electric Chair. What do you think of this one?
So this is now taking on the Joker, right? And this is the B side of Future. And what's important is three songs on this album were in development prior to this project and then kind of altered for this. So this was one of these. This was a track that he was working on in June of 1988, and he revisits it for this project. And I think it was a good move because the way he altered this for the use in the soundtrack works. Again, another great bass line. It's got a good groove. This time he uses a vintage color sound wah wah pedal to get some effects. It's equal parts rock and it's funk. And then at the end, you get your classic Prince screams. So to me, it sort of sums up the chaotic nature of the Joker and what's to come from the Joker. I like it. Just a footnote, there's only one time he played this live, and that was on SNL, Saturday Night Live, for their 15th anniversary. Otherwise, this was never played live and sort of to me, a hidden classic, certainly on this album, but in his discography as well.
I agree. I like this much better than The Future. This is where the album opens up, comes alive, full of personality. It's punchy funk. You've got that wonderful Jimi Hendrix guitar tone that dives in, and the beats are really sharp. A lot of the funk on this album is really sharp, really staccato, really precise mathematically, and he dips into a lot of different genres. Like I can hear that this is around the time, Alex, where house music was exploding around the world. The Chicago house scene, Frankie Knuckles, Prince was listening to all of this. So he's like a filter. He just puts it all in. And even though it might be diluted and you hear little skerrits, he's putting a lot of influences. But Electric Chair is where it's really punchy and just full of color. I love this song. I think it's one of the best songs in the album. Then we go to The Arms of Orion. What do you think of this one?
There's the single, and there's the cuss single. So,
Nice.
what do I think of this one? Not a lot. Uh, and now this is vocals. Again, if you look at the credits for the liner notes, it says vocals by. So this is vocals by Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale. And this is the third single off an album. It only gets to 100 on our Billboard chart, or I'm sorry, Billboard 100. It gets to 36 here. It gets to 108 in Australia. And this is with Sheena Easton. And I love Sheena Easton. I love Sugar Walls, which Prince wrote for her. I love You Got to Look, duet they do. But this song doesn't do it for me. This is where Prince can be kind of slow in his ballad and sappy. And I don't care for that much. This was originally Sheena Easton wrote the lyrics and presented this to Prince, and then he said, "Well, let's work on this together," and then it became part of this soundtrack. So I think it's a little forced to put it on the Batman soundtrack. I get why he did it because of the connection of Batman and Vicky Vale, and he was trying to make this duet work. But I'm not a fan of this. It's my least favorite song on the album.
Wow. Well, we're at the opposite ends. I love this song. It's a great ballad. It's whimsical. Sheena sings wonderfully. I think it should have been a huge hit if it was maybe if they did the follow up as the number two single, it would have done much better after Bat Dance. I like it. Um, I think it's got a great sense of melody, and Prince has this innate ability to getting melody lines that stick in your head, and it's really hooky. So, I think it's just personal choice here. I love it. I think it's a really, really good ballad. Party Man. This was another single, and I listened to the 7-inch, the 12-inch version that goes on for about 7 minutes or so, and this is the Joker character. Um, from memory, this is the scene where he's walking through the art gallery and he's got his goons and they're
Yep.
graffitiing all the walls and various things. And Jack Nicholson is just in ramped up Jack Nicholson mode. What do you think of this song?
Yeah. I so there's the 7-inch, and there's the cassette single, and there's the aforementioned 12-inch, which has that extended mix, which I highly recommend seeking that song out. Again, another great song. This was the second single off of this. So this on our Billboard chart got to 18, Australia got to 38. And this comes about because of a meeting with Prince and Jack Nicholson on the set. And Prince walks away saying, "This guy reminds me of Morris Day." And so he writes this song sort of from that perspective. Yes, and it is featured prominently in the movie. Uh, this is where Tim wanted 1999. And Prince says no, and he brings in Raven to the Joy Fantastic, and that gets bumped, and he ends up doing this song, which I think is good because this original for this scene, and at this point, the album is great. This is that Camille kind of vocals that he was going to put a whole album out of that style. There's some spoken word on this from Anna Garcia, or AKA Anna Fantastic, which was his love interest at the time. This is fast, it's funky. There's a great bass line. This is a fun song. This is a song you could envision the Joker getting behind himself. So there's some scorching guitar. It's subtle. It's in the mix. You have to listen for it. But there's cool piano. There's sax. Again, I think this has a lot going for it. And now we're really kind of getting towards the middle of the soundtrack, middle of the movie, if you will, and things are getting put into motion, I think, in a very good way.
Well, again, we disagree. I wish he chose 1999. I think this is a noisy, messy. It's a bit slight. At the end of the day, you listen to it, but it's not top shelf Prince. It just doesn't hang together. I think it got made worse when I was listening to the 12-inch because it really stretches the ideas. I can hear, moments where, there's a jazzy line and he brings a riff here and there, but it just doesn't hang together. No, I don't like this song, and I didn't even like it in the day when I was listening to this album, and I used to thrash this album to death because, like you, I bought this in the day, but this was not one of my favorites. So sorry about that, Chief. Party man's not. I'm not partying with the party man on this one. I would have preferred 1999. I was actually, when you said 1999, I almost closed my eyes and visualized and just thought that would have been better. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's just
see,
my.
to me, my issue with it is everybody already knew that song so much. So to put it in there, it almost would have. I can see why Prince didn't want to do it because you know how he is. He never wants to spend too much time in the past. He wants to always move forward. So had this movie come out when that was a fresher song, maybe. But I also get your point. Look, this is the beauty of music, and we can all hear things differently, and we do hear things differently, and we can all agree to disagree as we do, as long as we do it amicably, like we are here, right? And that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Vicky Waiting, what do you think of this song?
So again, this is now Bruce Wayne. And this originates from December of '88. So right before he gets involved in this project. And this is another one that he gives his love interest, Anna, as a gift when she comes to see him at Paisley Park. And then he asks her, once he gets involved in this project a couple months later, can I take this song and change it to Vicky Waiting? And she says, sure. So the original remains unreleased, unless you're somebody that knows how to get bootlegs like I do. But this,
Open the vault. Open the vault.
that's yes, the state needs to do that. So I like this. I think it's a nice mid-tempo song. Uh, I think this is one where taking a previous song, unlike the Arms of Orion, it works. He kind of revamped it. That fits the purpose of this. So not a favorite of mine on the album, but I do like it, and I think it fits nicely where it is in the order of things.
Well, we're not agreeing on a lot today, Alex, because I think this is the best song on the album. I love it. It's got heart. It's got a bit of a soul to it. It's got a great hooky melody, and I like the lyrics. They're kind of a day in the life. It's the way the lyrics unfold, very casual, but so fitting for the song. Um, this song could fill a multitude of other Prince albums. I was even,
Mm.
you know, how you said it's mid tempo. I could imagine him singing this as a ballad. So this is another one where it could have been a single. It wasn't a single, was it?
No, Vicky Wade was not.
Yeah, well, it could have been a single and it could have been a hit. But yeah, for some reason, out of all the songs on this album in the day and right to this very day, this is the song I gravitate to. There's just something about it that's just very observational and very confessional. And I think the criticism of this album is there's a lot of it where it's not as deep, emotional, and confessional as these other albums, like Purple Rain, um, Around the World in a Day, even Sign of the Times. And this, out of all the albums, this is the one where it's got a lot of heart and there's something that's kind of confessional because I think he's very rigid because he's writing for a script, he's writing for a movie, which is, let's face it, it's a great film. We love it, but it's a popcorn movie. It's not deep like a Purple Rain. So I think this is one of the more emotionally deeper songs on the album, and that's why I gravitate to it.
Well, and that's a great point. He's writing it for a movie, but he's not writing for his movie, right? This isn't Purple Rain. This isn't Under the Cherry Moon. This isn't Graffiti Bridge. So there is, I think, a disconnect in the real personal nature of what those things were versus him writing this. And again, him doing it as all these different characters. So it was a different mindset that he went into. Uh, but I still say this is more of a Prince album to me than it is a Batman soundtrack. He definitely put himself into it, but just in a different context of what has come before. I mean, we talked at length about Around the World in a Day. That's about as personal as you can get, right? A lot of politically charged things and socially charged things. And this isn't. This is about Batman and the Joker.
I know, but Vicky Wading, I think if you remove the characterizations of a Bruce Wayne and a Vicky and you substitute it with names like, Rosie and Fred, um, it could be a classic Prince song because
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's stories about the emotions. It's like a day in the life, and that's what I like about it. It puts it above the rest of the material. I don't know. There's something about this song that I just think it's just so clever and melodic and hooky, and it gets me in. And um, if you look at the song listing, it's the last track on side one. interesting, just with the way that this whole album sort of unfolds. Okay, we'll go into Trust. I'm just going to go straight off the bat. This reminds me of Baby I'm a Star, but in the Batman environment. Over to you.
And it should, because this is where he wanted Tim, that is, to use "Baby I'm a Star." That was the song he had in mind for this. So
There you go.
this is, yeah, Prince definitely took that to heart. So this is now again from the perspective of the Joker, and this is in the Joker parade scene. And this, I will say, if "Baby I'm a Star" were used, I think that would actually work for me better than 1999 in that other scene. Originally, there was a song which is a B-side. 200 Balloons was written for this scene, and Tim wasn't thrilled with that, so it got reworked, and then he came up with Trust. Uh, I like it. It's got that disco rhythm, like you said, that recalls "Baby I'm a Star." It's upbeat. It's fun. There's some elements in this that would go on to be used in New Position vibes from the Parade album. So I think this is a great song, a fun song, definitely fits the scene very well. And I will say just another tidbit. This was issued as a promo only Hong Kong single, which is insanely rare. If anybody out there has it, good on you, because it's not in this collection. That's how rare it is.
Well, we'll put Alex's email address if you want to make an offer. Maybe we can do business. Um, oh, it's fast-paced funk. It's got a lot of personality, confidence. It's a showstopper. I could imagine if they were playing this live, the band would be doing a conga line. So, yeah, I love this song. I think it's really, really cool. Then we go to Lemon Crush. What do you think of this song?
So this is now in the voice of Vicky Vale. Um, I like the song, but I question, what does this have to do with Batman? This is the song that I think is the weirdest fit, in that, not so much sound wise, but lyric wise, content wise. Supposedly this was his love interest Anna's favorite drink, lemon crush. I don't even know. I know orange crush. I don't even know what lemon crush is. So uh, as just a song, nice percussion. There's some cool synth. There's some nice vocal effects. There's some elements in this song that show up in Thunder and Diamonds and Pearls later on. So he's kind of like Frank Zappa in that, where he doesn't want to revisit the past, he will repurpose certain elements and things. So um, again, I like it. I just think it's, of all the songs, it's the least Batman like on the soundtrack, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I like it. I just find it a little odd.
I think he's gone on a tangent. He's thinking, "Oh, what do I put in? Let's just go on a tangent. Let's think. Imagine if Vicky's gone to the nightclub or something, and then I'll put a bit of my personality. I'll put it, my little special song for her." This has got cool, icy funk, and it reminds me of the early '80s Prince. You know when Prince was really stripped down. I like that. Uh, the man plays all the instruments. It's a masterclass. I like it. I don't think it's the greatest song on the album, but I don't think the album's worse off for having it there. Then we go to the next one, Scandalous. Alex, nobody does the emotional falsetto like Prince, do they?
No, not even
Nobody.
close.
What do you think of this one?
I love this song, but let me say again, now this is in the vocal of Batman. I'm a comic book fan. I've said that already. I've read tons and tons of Batman songs or Batman comics. I've never seen him sing, and if he did, I don't see him singing this song. So again, I think it's a stretch on Prince's part to try and put these personas with the songs. Having said that, I love the song. So this was the fourth single, and in the U.S., it doesn't even chart on our top 100. It gets to 5 on the R&B charts. In Australia, only 95. So I think this is an overlooked song. This is one that his father actually gets co-writing credits. And this is also another pre-Batman soundtrack song. So he's working on this in October of '88 before he gets involved with this project. But so unlike Arms of Orion, this is a slow song that works for me because of the way he sings it. And so it's heartfelt, but at the same time, it has that sexual energy that he can portray in some of his slow songs. And like you said, I wrote down the falsetto, unbelievable. There's also a little grit. So he's playing back and forth with that. Uh, I love it. What I love even more is Angela Sex Suite, which is the nearly 19-minute version done in three parts, in which Kim Basinger adds some vocals to it. So he was involved with her during this time period. He brings her into the studio and they do this duet, which has some really cool, some of this double entendre and just this slick way of Prince communicating. There's one point where she says it's warm in here, and he says come into the bedroom, and she says what's in there, and he says a window. Uh, and then there's another part where she says, "What do I look like?" And he says, "Overdressed." So again, this is Prince in his sexual, playful nature. So as much as I like the song on the album, this nearly 19-minute version is very, very cool if you want to do a deeper dive into the track.
And I've held that record. I held the CD in the day and I never bought it. And I am
Yeah,
absolutely giving myself an uppercut for not getting it.
that's cool.
Um, I could do a whole show, decisions that I regret, and that's one of the ones I would have loved to have got that. What I like about his vocals, it sort of encapsulates the feminine, masculine side of his personality and just makes it compelling. I think it's great. When I also think of the falsetto, it kind of reminds me of seeing those old black and white film clips of James Brown, where he's
Hmm.
on his knees and he's going, please, please, those classic Live at the Apollo. I think he's
Yeah,
really, citing a little bit of James Brown in that as well. So
Prince studied that closely. Trust me.
I think he did. It's a winning ballad. It's got a lot of gospel. I love where he does the gospel. So, um, fantastic. I love it. Scandalous. And then that dance. What a huge hit this was. I'll throw it over to you, Alex, and then I'll come back.
Yeah, it was a big hit. The number one single. This was released ahead of the film to draw interest. So this was his fourth number one single. He rebounded, right? There was some space between. I think Kiss was his last number one before this. It went platinum. The song did. It went number one many, many places. Australia only got to number two. I don't know what song kept it off the charts there, but still a big chart success. And this is interesting now because now he brings in, from the vocal standpoint, the four characters we previously mentioned, and also his newly created character, Gemini. And that is his zodiac sign, but also this was where in the video he was half and half, right? Half Batman and half Joker. A brilliant idea. He looks fantastic. The video is great. The song is incredible. What I find really amazing about this is, so this was the last song created for this. So he has done this multiple times, right? Purple Rain was the last, or sorry, When Doves Cry was the last song done for Purple Rain. Originally, it was a song called Dance with the Devil that was going to be in this position. And this is another unreleased gem. Again, I urge you to seek it out. It is on YouTube. But both Prince and Tim thought it was a little too dark. So on the fly, he creates this song. This is him taking that dialogue, mixing it in with just an out and out jam. Uh, I think it's fantastic. I love everything about it. This is what, as soon as I heard this song, what made me want to get the album the day it came out. So uh, I think it's a brilliant song. Not just a brilliant song in Prince's canon, but a brilliant song in any context of being created for a film. This is a perfect summation. This is almost like a trailer for the entire album, like a trailer would be for a movie.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said. I think wonderful collage of different sounds, different influences. You can hear electro, techno, R&B, house music, funk. He just puts it all in. And when this came out, it was different. I think that had a bit of a wow factor that, oh, he's trying something different here. This is really, really unusual, but it really appealed to everyone. And I saw this in the clubs. People were dancing to this, were grooving on it. They loved the film clip. So this really propelled this was the fuel to propel the album to number one. So if he didn't have this killer single, Alex, I don't know if this album would have got to number one. It would have gone top 10, would have been probably the same level as Love Sexy. But because of this song, this was the nitroglycerin to bring the album to, multi-platinum status. Would you agree?
Yeah, if you hear Dance with the Devil, that is not a hit, right? That would have been a good dark song for the tone of the movie.
Mm.
But take Bat Dance off of this. I'm going to say to you, I don't know if it is even much of a hit, the album itself, because it was this song that really propelled it. So if you don't have this and they went with Dance with the Devil, we may not be doing the show right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's your opinion of this album with 2026 years and where it fits into the discography?
Uh, I still love it. You know, where it fits in, that's a hard thing for me to say because I'm a hardcore Prince fan. There's so much great material. So I certainly wouldn't put it at the top by any means. You know, this is not Purple Rain or Sign of the Times or even a later album I really like.
Yeah,
Rainbow
yeah,
Children. Love that as a late period album.
yeah.
So I enjoy this immensely. I like it as much as I did
Mm,
back in the day. Uh, you know, would I recommend this to anybody just getting into Prince? No, I would not. And I can see why there's, as popular as it was in the day, it's kind of lost some luster. And there's a lot of people that don't like it as much now as back then. But I still enjoy it. It's a fun listen. I wouldn't say it's my go-to Prince album, but as we were doing this exercise, I listened to it as I always do, multiple times in a row to reacquaint myself and
mm.
enjoyed it every playthrough. And just quickly, the B sides, so 200 Balloons, Fill You Up, and I Love You and Me, all of those ended up on the hits in the B side collection. Those are okay. They're definitely B sides though.
Absolutely. Look, I agree with everything you've said. We may have had some differences on song picks as we've had this conversation, but I do agree with it. I'd say it's probably top half Prince. Definitely in the top half. There's a lot to admire and like, and it's been a fun listen. I've really enjoyed it. One final word before we wrap it up. Let's talk about the movie. What do you think of the Tim Burton movie? I still love it. I still think it was a bit of a wow for me. Are you a fan of the original Batman movie?
Sort of. Again, I grew up a comic book kid, so I'm a huge comic book fan, and I have a big disconnect with most superhero movies. Although back then that was really kind of setting the path for what would come with all the Marvel movies and everything after that. So, and I'm also a Tim Burton fan. So yes, I liked the movie. It's not something I don't, it's been decades since I've seen it. So good. But to me, the takeaway here is I like the soundtrack more than like the film, but I'm a Prince nut. So
Yeah, I think this is a movie that a lot of people have gone back to and actually appreciated. I think it's actually aged quite well, like a red wine. And a lot of people, when Michael Keaton was appointed as the Batman role, were going, Michael Keaton, really? But people have gone back and looked at that and sort of rate that as he's probably one of the great Batman performances. It's a very nuanced, subtle performance, and I think it's one of those movies that it's sort of they appreciate much more over time. It's got its charms. But you've got to, I guess, another thing you've got to like about this movie is that there is a performance in the film that sucks everything into the vortex, and that's Jack Nicholson. Because I think a lot of people, the criticism in the day, why call a Batman? You should call a Jackman, because he really is in overdrive, isn't he? I mean, Heath Ledger was a mighty performance as
mm.
the Joker, but boy, from just ramping it up to everything to 11, yeah, Jack Nicholson really took the cake, didn't
and
he?
but that was Jack in many films, right? So that's him. And really, if you want to do a deep dive, I think you'll find a few Batman movies that are worse than this.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of my favorites. I think
Yeah.
it's right up there. Alex, always a pleasure to have you on the show, and we even talk films. There you go. It just goes off in many tangents. Alex can be seen on multiple channels. He's got a channel called Alexploitation, and looking forward
Painted
to
Decibels.
Painted Decibels. I'll edit
Painted
that in.
Decibels.
Yeah,
Under the guise of exploitation. Yes.
and looking forward to the journey that you take with many more shows. And we'll get you back very soon. We'll
Thank
plot
you.
offline as to what our next show is. Please tell us what you think of Prince and the Batman soundtrack. Tell us your favorite songs. Please like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. We cover all genres of rock, not just heavy metal and hard rock. And we're appreciate reading the comments more in 2026 and beyond. Thank you once again, Alex, and
Thank you.
cheers and all the best. Cheers. Thank you.